I think this story is very different in the sense that it shows generosity, and it shows openness, and the fact that it reaches a hand to the oppressed. I think that's the most important message, is to sort of show how you get out of your comfort zone and go and help out, So that's... I play the part of Nicole, who was in real life and was a very good friend of Louise, the main character. And I bring in the French take to that story and show that, the French and the English both lived on the island and both had to cohabit during the war. And yeah, I think it's so important to accept people for what they are, and that's what Louise did. She didn't see the Russian, she saw the young boy. That's what the story is about. It's reaching out to the person in need rather than, a specific culture.
Well, I think in occupied Europe, there were always people who everybody had a moral choice to make, and it wasn't easy. And some chose to go along with the occupying regime because they had families to think about. And others chose to go down a harder line. I think my character chose a sort of a middle course, and he did what lots of people did, but ultimately put alongside what the leading lady did. Most of them shrink by comparison because she was remarkable and made very brave choices. It's always relevant, but these are interesting times, as the Chinese say. I think at any point it's good to look back and see what can be learned. I mean, what's unusual, what's remarkable about the background to this film, of course, is that we were occupied. Part of the UK was overseen and controlled by a foreign power. Let's hope that doesn't happen anytime soon.
The story of the Channel Islands and the occupation is just not as widely known as other war stories. And over the last few decades, there's been a kind of a narrative that there was a lot of collaboration, which is only very slightly true. And there were lots of stories of personal courage and sacrifice, like this one of my own family, which just weren't getting the attention. So I'm just delighted that we can finally set the record straight and explain to people what it was actually like.
What are you most hoping that audiences perhaps learn from going on this particular journey with these characters?
I hope they realise that the Channel Islands did genuinely, truly suffer during the occupation, and that a lot of the people who were shipped over there, like the Russians, suffered even more, and that it's a huge part of forgotten history, which I think is very important. The team is absolutely brilliant. I mean, just looking around here tonight is beyond anything I ever imagined. It's absolutely fantastic. And I hope my great Aunt Lou is looking down, is very proud of us all this evening. I think the themes of this story are probably more pertinent now than they were a couple of years ago.
This is a film set against a very significant historical backdrop for this country and for the whole of Europe. Why do you think it is so important to explore that period of our history?
I think it's important to remember that women such as Louisa were so brave in the face of so much adversity, and especially because at the moment times are so fraught, it's nice to think that people can be so helpful to others in need, and maybe people will do that now with like Syria and all these different issues. It might help people be more charitable and open to helping. So Bill is the Russian that Louisa takes into her home, and I work for Louisa in the village shop, and me and Bill have a bit of a romance, and it gets to the point where Louisa thinks it's dangerous because of what might happen, being a young girl and a young boy, so I get moved out of the town, and Bill gets very angry because he thinks that Louise is jealous, and that's Annie.
Can you talk about working with the rest of the cast, because it's a fantastic group of people alongside you on this one?
Yeah. It was amazing because we were down in Bath in this tiny village. It was really bleak weather, and it was a kind of thing where we all just bunched together and became a little family, because we were down there for a few weeks and some of them for a few months, and it was a lovely group of people, and everyone got on so well, and it just made the film that more special.
Can you start by telling us, for both of you, what you feel is so significant about this particular portion of our history and exploring it on screen?
I believe that it was great to have a movie like this, and I think, not many people would make a movie like that except Bill Kenwright. So I believe it's an important story because it shows how what a grey matter war is, and the division that it causes. There's not good people and bad side and good side. There's good people and bad people on both sides. And it's a significant story because it's ordinary people in such extraordinary circumstances. Yeah.
I knew nothing about the Channel Islands during the World War II, to my shame, and I didn't know this story. And this is, as Julian said, an ordinary family doing extraordinary things. Yeah. Courage and commitment and compassion and community.
Which I think why people will connect to it, because everybody can be a hero, and as long as you're true to yourself, to the love you have for people, for humanity, and I think hopefully it's going to resonate with audiences.
Well, especially nowadays, because community seems to be breaking down,
yeah.
And it takes a war to bring people together. Yeah. And sadly, in this instance, it was the community that let Louisa Gould down. She was naive. She was a really good woman. And she trusted her community to keep her secret, and somebody broke her secret, and she suffered for it. But she gave Bill life.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about the rest of the team and how special that was on this production.
They were lovely. They were amazing. When you start with the director, Chris Mennel, to the producing team, Bill Kenwright, and the writer,
who is Louisa's great niece.
Yeah.
And, factually, it's an amazing story.
Couldn't have found a better
There's a scene in it where there's a railway carriage with Louisa in, and this is a scene that actually happened in life because Harold survived and came back and told them about it. He was in a railway carriage in a French station. Her train drew up, the doors opened, they saw each other, they talked, and she went on her way, and that happened. Extraordinary coincidence, but it happened. Yeah. But the team were amazing. Sam, the cameraman, the makeup artist, the wardrobe people, all the sets and the designer. The attention to detail was second to none.
He risks a lot. They all do, in a community, but also as a family, what they go through. And you kind of ask yourself, in this day and age, would we do the same? And it's a good question to ask ourselves, because most people would probably say no, or maybe they would say yeah. I'd like to think they'd say yeah. But you can't believe that this story is a true story. When you see some of the things that actually happened, my character meeting Louisa on the train tracks, for him to meet his sister in the middle of France, randomly, on two carriages that pull up and the doors to open, and actually on Harold's birthday as well, heading to a concentration camp. You just can't write that. It's they say the best stories are the real ones. So, yeah, true story. Well, I don't think people realise that Jersey was occupied by the Nazis. I mean, there was a wall being built to keep the Allies out, and that was the first port of call, Jersey. And I don't think people realise that. So it's a story that needs to be told. There's a sense that it was kind of maybe slightly brushed under the carpet a little bit, and hopefully this film will bring it all to light and people realise how courageous and how incredible the people of Jersey were at that time.
In terms of your own preparation for the role, how did you prepare, and what most surprised you about that experience?
I spent a lot of time researching the character. There's a lot of stuff online about Harold. He actually came out of Belsen, the only surviving Briton of Belsen concentration camp, and managed to testify at the War Crimes Tribunal. Easy for me to say. He sent 3 Nazi commandants to prison. So he was incredibly courageous, even after what he'd been through, to stand up and to do that. A great man. It was a real honour to play him. I really hope that I hope I'm doing him justice,
And
hopefully.
you get to sing as well.
I sing a little bit of Russian, yeah. That was tricky. That was very tricky, yeah. I'm off to Australia next week. I'm shooting a TV drama there called Love Child. It's season 4. I play an Irish character who's a doctor, an Irish doctor. So yeah, I'm doing that next week, and then I'm back, and then we're having a baby. Very excited, and then thank you very much. Yeah, and
That's nice.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait. Yeah.
What do you say is the perks of being an actor rather than being on stage screaming with lots of girls around screaming?
This is really new for me. You know, I said to my friends, take some photos of me on this carpet because I might never be here again. You know, you know, we'll see. You know, I'm.
Was amazing. I forgot you were Irish after.
Thanks very much. That's one thing I am worried about. So we'll see how that goes.
How will you be celebrating St. Patrick's Day tomorrow?
We're raising a pint for Stephen Gately and for Paddy's Day. Yeah.